And with the details of the US counter-terrorism report that's lauded India but nailed Pakistan as a terror state or a state that's not done much to curb terrorism. So it's contrary to what the FATF findings are. Now let's take you quickly through what some of the key features of this report are, or key points. They've lauded India, saying significant efforts to detect, disrupt, degrade terror ops. Slammed Pakistan, saying ISIS Khorasan, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan have used the Pak border as a safe haven. They've lauded India, saying responding promptly to requests for info related to terror probes. They've slammed Pakistan, saying meager progress in dismantling terror organizations. India has been lauded for the efforts to mitigate threats, whereas Pakistan's been slammed because it's a redesignated country of particular concern in 2021. India has been further lauded for collaborative efforts to disrupt terrorist travel, while Pakistan's been slammed, saying it's being faced significant money laundering and terror financing risks. India has also been appreciated for using watch lists, implementing biometric screening at entry ports. Pakistan, meanwhile, has been slammed as terror organizations raising funds via direct support public fundraising. The Indian Army running schools, camps to combat radicalization has been lauded, whereas Pakistan, terror funding moving through Hawala Hundi channels has been cited and criticized. So big development now. Amid the US report, there's been more trouble for cash-strapped Pakistan. There's new trouble that is arising for Islamabad. The IMF has set fresh conditions, asking Pakistan to cut the defense budget or impose 25% GST. IMF wants Pakistan to cut expenses, raise the interest rates and liberalize the exchange rate. The IMF has also demanded a significant increase in the interest rate during its recently concluded staff-level visit, aimed at adopting an aggressive approach to curb inflation. The fund has also asked what measures have been taken by Pakistan regarding their defense budget. The Pak government is set to slap 25% GST on dozens of consumer goods to collect additional revenues as the Pak government failed to cut defense budgets. Pak needs repayment plan to fulfill the staff-level agreement for the next tranche of $1.2 billion. The summary will be sent to the federal cabinet for its endorsement, and as part of the mini budget, the government has already increased the standard GST rate from 17 to 18%. And there's more, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it doesn't stop there itself. Another setback for Pakistan. Moody's has downgraded Pakistan's rating to CAA3 from CAA1 with the outlook stable, saying Pakistan's increasingly fragile liquidity and external position significantly raises default risks to a level consistent with CAA3 rating. The rating agencies also downgraded the rating for the senior unsecured MT program to CAA3 from PCAA1. Now, on the other hand, Moody's changed the outlook to stable from negative. Moody's said that the decision to downgrade the ratings is driven by its assessment that Pakistan's increasingly fragile liquidity and external position raises default risks to a level consistent with that kind of rating. Moody's has said that the country's foreign exchange reserves have fallen to extremely low levels, far lower than necessary to cover its import needs and external debt obligations over the immediate and medium term. Joining us now, Dr. Tara Kartha, former Director, National Security Council Secretariat, and Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow, ORF. Dr. Tara Kartha, should the FATF do a revisit? Should the FATF put Pakistan back in the grey list?
I think it's high time they did, sometimes to some extent to Pakistan's own benefit. Because if this kind of thing is going on in terms of the terror funding, in terms of, what shall I say, the whole financial system, the international financial system is at risk due to Pakistan's, the kind of, terror financing which is going on. So you have to protect the global financial system, you have to put some curbs on Pakistan, which ultimately is best for Pakistan itself. If you can induce some reform, if you can induce change in the way they operate, and above all, get it into their heads that, look, you cannot shelter terrorists. This is not something which is good for you, for your own country. If that message goes in through the FATF, then that's the best thing that can ever happen to Pakistan.
Sushant Sareen, where do you stand on this? Syed Salahuddin seen, Hafiz Saeed seen, Talha seen. 3 terror leaders have been executed by rival jihadi tanzeems. They're all active, hyperactive.
Anand, I think we need to be very clear what the FATF stands for. I don't think the FATF says that Hafiz Saeed and all these other despicables cannot be seen. But it does talk about, following the UN resolutions on these fellows, which is basically curbing their funding and their activity and their travel and their weaponry. Pakistan has singularly failed to do that. But I think more importantly, from the FATF point of view, the FATF took Pakistan out of the grey list, saying that, well, they have delivered on a whole lot of other things. Just the events of the last 4 or 5 months proves how premature that assessment and how fallacious and faulty that assessment of the FATF was. For example, it is admitted by the Pakistanis themselves that there are millions of dollars which are being smuggled out of Pakistan into Afghanistan. Now, if the Pakistanis had shut down and shut down most of those illegal channels of transmission of funds, which is exactly the kind of channels which terrorists use for terror financing, then how come this money is continuing to flow into Afghanistan? Should the FATF not be asking these questions of the Pakistanis out of on something which the Pakistanis at the top levels have themselves acknowledged that this is happening, from the finance minister to the prime minister to the State Bank of Pakistan governor? Everybody has accepted this, right? So this is a singular failure of the FATF in discharging the purpose for which that organization has been created. And I could go into many other things where the Pakistanis have fallen short. But the fact of the matter remains that until and unless you are going to crack down on the Pakistanis and the kind of activities they are indulging in, and this constant act of theirs, that they'll pretend that they are delivering on whatever is asked of them, but on the side they'll continue to flout all those regulations and all those norms which have been put. They flout those, and I think it's about time that the international community gets together to put a stop to this kind of activity.
Dr. Tara Kartha, because money laundering is now on. The jihadi tanzeems are getting money via the illicit routes. Money is being laundered openly, and the black market is the grey market is the one, the parallel economy is the one that is currently funding whatever is happening on the streets in Pakistan. So those evidences are already there. Now the US counter-terrorism report also says that the tanzeems are active. So what next? The report comes, everybody says, oh, Pakistan is doing this. No designation of it as a terror state, no calling it out, no freezing of funds, nothing.
On the I think I pointed this out, that there is a lot of money coming into Pakistan, ostensibly for flood relief, right? Which is being generated from the US, from Turkey, from various countries where there are offshoots of the Jamaat-e-Islami and all these people operating and sending money back. Then there is the Al-Qidmat Foundation in Pakistan, which is sending relief to Turkey. So there is, like you said, this whole number of organizations working together, all linked to each other and all against the liberal cause, if you want to put it that way, or against the Indians. I mean, let's put it frankly. They are all anti-India. And they've got all this money in their hands. And the question is, what do they do with it? Right. For that matter, when the Pakistan government gets aid, Pakistan reports themselves as saying this aid doesn't come to the common man. Where is this money going? But then the problem is, Anand, in the other report that we heard is that Pakistani weapons are going to Ukraine.
Yes.
So on the one hand, you're doing this. On the other hand, this is how they get their work done.
No, Pakistan was allowing its bases to be used to ferry weapons. So that was what the story that came out was. It was not that
Pakistani weapons. These are Pakistani ordnance factory weapons which have been found in Ukraine and has been photographed, and you can see it.
Wow. Because I was aware of there were reports of the air bases being used and Pakistan providing air base, but using weapons in Ukraine. Well, they don't have their visitor, they're ready to pawn off their nuclear assets just to raise money, and that's what their experts are claiming. So it's a nation capable of anything. Thank you, Dr. Tara Kartha. Sushantji, please stay on. We've just got yet another quick update from the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen, moving away from Pakistan.